Hey, welcome to another edition of the Country Hobbyist, and let me tell you, spring has shown up quick for us here in Indiana. We went from 2 weeks ago to being 20s at night, mid-30s in the day, collecting maple sap and making syrup, to 45 and 60 degree weather, not getting below freezing. And I thought it was time, because here we are, the 1st of March. Well, the second week of March here now, and it's time to start getting seeds going, especially for our tomatoes, and probably also should start some zucchini and some cucumber and get those going. So I was gonna just do this. This is just a normal thing we do every year. I've got a nice indoor starting setup that I've created over the winter. Some nice grow lights, wire rack. We've got flowers started on it. I've been growing lettuce, but I thought today I would just walk through and just show kind of a process on how I go about making one of these start to be for our plants. Also, you might be able to hear in the background, I've got the smoker going. I've got a couple racks of ribs. Can't wait. Countdown is an hour and a half. It's going to be so good. So today I'm using this McKenzie 72 cell greenhouse starter. I just picked this up at Menards, and I just wanted to try these out. I've used them before, and they're okay. They're a little flimsy, but I think for getting going here, it's a good start. Now, I do think I want to order some from a few of these other garden supply stores, like a Bootstrap Farmer. I really hear that it's very well made, and I'm going to order some of those and just do a comparison, compared the McKenzie to one of those. So we'll take the cardboard off. It's got some instructions on the back, but I kind of have my own process. Now, what I do like is these come with, and it says McKenzie, but right here on the lid you can't see it, but it says Jiffy. So if you see the Jiffy stuff for these, I think they must be the same brand. So what I do like about this is it comes with a relatively decent lid. Because it's got a bunch of texture in it, it seems to be more rigid. And this is a good kind of greenhouse starter to keep the moisture in for the first few days while the seeds are germinating. So we do get that with this kit, and that's one of the things I do like about this kit. I'm trying to decide where I'm going to put this where I won't break it. The first thing, or the next thing, is that these are all kind of put together, and I don't like to rip them, because it seems like if you start to tear just a little bit, you end up tearing a whole big chunk of the this plastic. Now, this plastic's very, very thin. It's very brittle. And then once you get it broken down into the 4 sections, that's when they come in these 18 sections that are very held together. And I actually like these to be separated independent, so they're not perforated. It does require a little bit of cutting, but I don't have to cut all of them, just the 4 sections have to be cut up. Okay, so that's all of those. Now, the next thing I like to do is, well, we have to do, is our soil. I've already moistened this soil, so it kind of makes kind of a ball when you clump it, but then it falls back apart. I don't want it wet where it makes like a mud ball. I just want it damp, that I can get these seeds started in. Any big chunks I like to kind of break up. I think anybody you watch who's doing this, that's kind of their process. Now I like to use like this wash tote here, especially when I'm doing this more when it's not as nice outside and I'm doing it inside. It really helps keep everything kind of tidy and neat, and it gives me a big enough room to work here. But what I just like to do is make sure that the trays or the cells are filled up, I'll put a little pressure. I don't pack down. I think that it's best to just kind of put some pressure, make sure that they're full. And what happens, we're early enough in the year that I think that the roots from the plants we're growing are really going to set that the rest of the way. And so I like to give the roots plenty of room to, you know, be able to fill out these little trays where they aren't trying to sneak out the bottom and you know, damage the plant trying to get the, you know, it out of the cell by overpacking. And I used to like really pack that dirt down in there, and that's I just find that does not work nearly as well as just giving a little thumb press to make sure that it's filled. Last year we grew super sauce hybrids, and they're from Burpee. That one's completely empty. Well, these come from Burpee, and they did fairly well. Now I had, if you remember, I talked about you know, last year in growing that we had some issues with mold because I had that flood, like that flash flood at the other place that really did a number on my garden for the year. And let's knock on wood that we don't have that problem here. Let's do it right. But we don't have those kind of rains again this year. And I'm going to plant this entire tray on these super sauces. So they're super sauce is an indeterminate tomato, which means it doesn't have a plant height size that it will grow to. It will continue to grow until really it gets frosted on, or a situation like I had last year where it actually developed a blight because of the mold that was in the ground. Now the garden here is not that way, and we haven't really shown this garden. This garden's actually bigger than our garden last year. This garden has less pressure from animals because of where it sits, even though the back side of my house is very wooded, very pressured by animals. Where the garden sits, it actually is pretty protected. The reason why I'm going to grow so many is, one, I'll give some of these away to my friends. This also ensures that we've got plenty of tomato starts. You never know kind of when you're starting them what's going to really happen. So it's often best to, for me, and it's cheap enough to overstart, and then if by chance they all grew and we had to give some away, does that really hurt anybody? No. I mean, it's I think giving back to the community. I like to start for my friends, you know, anyone that wants some or is growing gardens. Help save some money here for them, and I enjoy doing that. I enjoy the whole garden thing. Now this year I hope it's to be better than last year, although it's become more and more difficult to find stuff for gardens because of COVID last year, and to find seeds, to find you know, everything that we need. So I hope that the canning jar shortage was short-lived. I hope that everything this year kind of gets back on track for everybody. Would you believe that I was one seed short in those 2 packs of finishing this? Okay. So what I like to do is just take a little bit of like a spoon or something and just kind of barely get that under the soil. I think it says on the instructions a quarter inch deep into individual containers. If I were trying to grow a lot, or a lot for selling or something, I would use, you know, the 128 or the next kind of smaller sized cells here, so I could get more started at once. And what that just allows you to do is get them started, and then if they don't start, then you just transplant, once they're big enough, the ones that did start. So I'm taking maybe a little bit different of a gamble and only starting a smaller amount. But for me, I'd like to plant about 50 of these this year. I think that's going to be our number. We're going to plant them a little bit closer together and see how that works for us. We're going to grow them again on a trellis. I'm a really big fan of that after last year. And then the other thing I really want to do is start them on, is actually grow them on plastic, so that we're a little bit more weed controlled. Just because of all the things we have going on, if this was my only hobby, if you will, then weeding and stuff in a garden would be not that big of a deal. But because we just have so many things kind of going on in the summer with the kids and sports and the farm and vacations and everything, I'm going to plant this year on plastic. So I'm going to get that ordered. I say plastic, I mean like like landscaping fabric. They make it for gardens. They make a landscaping fabric specifically for gardens. Okay, well, you guys watched me. That took literally no time at all to kind of get that up and going. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to stick this in here. So that'll say, hey, these are all super sauces. I'm going to get another tray, and I'm going to start planting some beefsteaks and then Romas in those. Since I teased it, I thought I'd share. Here are these 2 racks of ribs. Just brushing on some barbecue sauce here. I thought, well, if I'm going to talk about it, I might as well torment everybody and show them. What I got for dinner. I shut the camera off, and I was thinking about kind of my younger years when I was saucing those ribs, and I thought I'd share a quick little story while I was finishing this up. So I was in my early 20s. I had not traveled much in my life. I hadn't traveled west at all. It was the first time I had ever been to St. Louis, and actually it was the furthest west I'd ever been when we went to Kansas City. But being the food lover that I always was, I wanted to go. I mean, if you're in Kansas City, where do you go in Kansas City? Obviously, you find a rib joint. So we found this rib joint, and I walked in, and it was off hours, so it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was kind of dead, and there's this older lady behind the counter, and I ordered a slab of ribs, and she said something to the fact, do you want sauce on those ribs? Which, at that point in my life, you know, ribs, other than eating deer ribs that my grandma would make, I don't know if I'd ever had any other ribs really outside of like the Applebee's riblets. So I didn't know what the heck I was really doing. I probably shouldn't have been ordering ribs. I probably didn't appreciate it. But anyway, so I said, yeah, I'd like sauce on those ribs. And she hollers out to the back, sauce those ribs! And it's just always a memory that I'm going to have every time I put sauce on my barbecue ribs, that you gotta yell out, sauce them ribs! So I actually did that when the camera went off. I was yelling out loud to sauce those ribs. Okay, so I'm pretty much done here loading up tomatoes. I've got half a tray left here of these super beef steaks. This side, closest to me, are going to be Roma's. These sides over here are going to be beef steaks. And we've got 144 cells of tomatoes started. Thanks, guys. I know this one isn't super jam-packed with excitement by any means, but sometimes I like to share kind of the process along the way on getting to, you know, the next step. It's a lot of this kind of stuff we got coming down the turnpike here to finish up, or to start this year out. It's going to be very action-packed. As action-packed as it can get for growing tomato seeds and trying to get a greenhouse going and being a YouTube sensation. I know, I'm joking. I got jokes. Alright guys, thank you. Comment down below if you guys do something different in your process when it comes to starting tomatoes. Anything that you might suggest I do differently to help get a better stand. And I hope you guys all have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Appreciate you. Like, comment, and share. Thanks. Bye.